Welcome, everybody. I'm joined by Andy Talaga, and we are here to discuss Profit. Hello, Andy.
Hello, how are you?
Good. I'm excited to talk about this deck. This is probably one of my favorite decks, and I feel like a quintessential Star Wars deck. So let's get right into it. Can you talk us through sort of the starting package and what that looks like?
Sure, absolutely. So this is the deck that I ended up playing in my last game of the Premier Reflections 2 Retro League. I played a deck very similar to this throughout the Premier through Jabba's Palace League. I didn't do great in that league, mostly because this deck really wanted Honor of the Jedi at that time. It no longer really needs Honor of the Jedi in Premier Reflections 2. So this fared much better. But basically, you're going to be playing this card. You can either profit by this, which is deploy Tatooine Jabba's Palace and Audience Chamber with Han frozen there. Opponent can deploy up to 2 aliens at the Audience Chamber, and then while this side up, opponent cannot force strain at the Audience Chamber, and your force strains at Tatooine locations are, or you may not force strain, they're not canceled, you just can't force strain at all. You cannot play frozen assets, which on GIMP isn't so much of a problem because frozen assets is not programmed. It's one of those few missing cards that haven't been programmed. Luke, R2D2, and C3PO are deploy -2 at Jabba's Palace sites. Master Luke deploys for free. Flip this card if Han is on Tatooine and not a captive. So you have to free Han from his captive state. And then on the back, retrieve 5 force or 10 force if Han has power less than 4 once per game. While this side up, cancel the game text of Bad Feeling Have I. Unpiloted starfighters can deploy to exterior Tatooine locations. That almost never comes up. And then during your control phase, opponent loses 1 force for each battleground location occupied by Han, Luke, Leia, Chewie, or your Lando. Flip this card if Han is captured or not on table. So it's a very thematic
Look, fundamentally, it's a way of getting out all the fun characters, right? You get your Lando, your Leia,
all the
your
big
Han.
names working together to infiltrate Jabba's palace and free Han, and then once they have done that, they, set up on Tatooine and they're force draining and working together, and you have all your mains out and doing damage. So, that's what I think draws a lot of people to this objective is it's a lot of fun to play, and it's, a good mains platform, basically. So you get Jabba's Palace and you get the Audience Chamber. My Han, I play 2 copies of Han. I play an original Premier Han. He has power less than 3 or power less than 4. So when you free him, you can retrieve up to 10 force. And then otherwise, I will start heading for the Medical Frigate, which lets me deploy 3 effects that deploy for free, are always immune to alter and deploy on table. And then the effects that I play are Insurrection. So unique rebels of ability less than 3 or forfeit +2, Neighbor and Ellis Hellrot. You're limited to owner's move phase and exterior sites, and once during each of your turns, you can deploy a docking bay from reserve deck. I also started in this one. I actually started aim high in the decks that I was playing this specific version of Profit against because more than likely, my opponent that I was playing was going to be playing ISB Operations, which is a deck we've covered in the past and is very good against Watch Your Step. So when you're playing in a tournament, you have to really think about the meta game of what you're playing. So if the best deck is Watch Your Step and somebody thinks that you're going to be on Watch Your Step because you will generally play the best decks in the format, then they're going to play the best deck that counters Watch Your Step. In this case, that's ISB. So I then went to what is the best deck to beat ISB? Well, that's Profit, because ISB, if you go back and watch our video on that, it's all about damage mitigation through eliminating force strains, whereas Profit doesn't really rely on force strains that I mean, it does, but you can't force strain on your 0 side. And on the back side, you're doing direct damage. So even if they shut all your force strains down, you're still getting force damage through. And one of the things that ISB does is once it flips, it retrieves a card every turn. So I start aim high because I can make them pay to retrieve. And then I also start Your Insight Serves You Well. Deploy on table, Dark Jedis are defense value -1, scanning crew, and numbers are canceled, and they can place this effect in Lost Pile to take 1 Endor or Death Star 2 effect that deploys for free into hand. Which for me is going to be I Hope She's All Right, which deploys on table. 9 unique scouts are forfeit +1. During every draw phase, unless opponent's character of Destiny less than 4 occupies a battleground site, opponent loses 1 force, effect canceled unless your character of Destiny less than 4 occupied 2 battleground sites. So the basic idea again, this deck is a little bit more geared towards beating ISB than beating the field of, anything that could be viable. Hunt Down, Bring Them Before Me, Agents of the Black Sun, ISB, Court, etc. If you're going to go against a wide variety of decks, there's a couple cards that you probably change in here, but this one was specific for beating ISB. So I didn't anticipate that they would start any aliens at the audience chamber because really the only aliens they have are going to be Outer Rim Scouts. And they're not really going to start 2 Outer Rim Scouts because that's just asking to get a beat down and lose a lot of force on the first turn. So generally ISB is not going to start any aliens at the audience chamber. So what I did is on my first turn, what I would like to do is play Ben Kenobi. So I have 3 copies of him. He deploys only on Tatooine. When he's in a duel, he adds 2 to your total, so he's good against Hunt Down dueling. And once per battle, and if a battle just ended here, you can revive 1 character, forfeit it. So he can keep Han on the table. So you can, if Han gets hit, or if you have to sacrifice Han for to cover attrition, Ben can revive him and bring him back and then flip your objective back over again. And then Master Luke. And Master Luke deploys for free because of your objective. It says Master Luke deploys for free. So rather than spending, 7 force or I guess 5 force because it's Tatooine here, you can just play him for free. So ideally, what I want to do is turn 1, or at the end of my opponent's turn, depending on what they did, I'm going to sacrifice Your Insight Serves You Well to go get I Hope She's All Right. Then I'm going to play Ben Kenobi to the audience chamber. I'm going to play Master Luke to Tatooine Jabba's palace. I'm going to play I Hope She's All Right. And then I'm going to basically immediately free Han. Now, I can't retrieve 10 force, but I can retrieve 2 force. Heading for the medical frigate and the Your Insight Serves You Well. So I retrieve both of them because against ISB, I want to push through as much damage as I possibly can, as quickly as I can, before they can start getting all their damage mitigation stuff set up. During my draw phase, they'll lose 1 force to I Hope She's All Right. It'll be their turn. The only battlegrounds that are probably out are going to be Jabba's palace and the audience chamber. And you can play somebody against me at one of those locations, but more than likely I'm going to be able to out battle you on the ground. So you're probably not going to come there. So you're going to lose another 1 to I Hope She's All Right. Now on your turn, you have your objective flipped to the 7 side. Han is at 1 battleground, Luke's at another battleground. They lose 2 force, then you can force strain as well. Ideally, from that point, what you want to do is get lightsabers on your characters, Luke and Ben. And then you want to use Nar Shaddaa wind chimes, which is a used recyclable 5. Primarily to start, you're really just using it for this or function. Search your reserve deck and take 1 non-unique alien into hand, reshuffle. Otherwise, once per game, you can target a non-unique alien and draw Destiny If destiny is less than the number of copies of that non-unique alien, you can retrieve force equal to the number of them that you have. So late in the game, you could track around a 1 and retrieve 2 force with it, but you want to get out Bomar monks. While at a site adds force icons to equalize both sides. So now Jabba's Palace becomes a 2-2 site. So it'll have 2 light side and 2 dark side because of the Bomar monk. Same with, the audience chamber, and then same with Jabba's Palace. So now they become drain 2 locations. And it's adding a force icon. So it's not a force drain bonus. So it doesn't get shut off by things like Imperial Decree. And then you get out this card, Baragwin. Once per turn, if the top card of your lost pile is a weapon, device, or transport vehicle, you can use a force to retrieve it. And during your control phase, you can exchange a card from hand for a weapon or device in your lost pile. So if you lose one of your lightsabers, you can retrieve it. Going up against a space deck, which most ISB decks are, you have Y-Wings and landing claws. So you can attach to their capital ship, their Star Destroyer, because they're probably playing Star Destroyers. And then you basically block the drain there because you have presence, even though they can't battle you.
Landing Claw is such a fun card when it works. Like I could never make it work, but it's a
very,
fun card.
Very annoying card to play against. There's no really good way to kill it. I mean, there are Captain Goodheart, Homing Beacon, and those rebels can't escape us. All cancel it, but they cancel it during your move phase so that you can't just cancel Landing Claw and then beat that crap out of the Y-Wing with a bunch of ships. So you cancel it during your move phase, in which case you use your Baragwin to exchange a card from your hand for the Landing Claw, and then on your turn you just play the Landing Claw again and reclamp. It's very difficult to get rid of Landing Claw. And then if they do have something like Battle Order out, like you can, during your control phase, unattach your Y-Wing. You now satisfy Battle Order because you have you're at a battleground system. You drain, and then you can reattach as well. So you have your Baragwin set up here to retrieve any of your devices or weapons that go lost. And then what you want to do is get this card, Underworld Contacts. It's from Jabba's Palace sealed deck. Deploy on a Tatooine site. Your force generation is +1. Opponent cannot modify or cancel force drains at each Tatooine battleground site where you have 2 aliens with different card titles. So you have a Bomar Monk and a Baragwin. Those are 2 aliens with 2 different card titles. They can't cancel or modify your force drains. So ideally, you have Ben with a saber and a Bomar Monk draining for 3, and Luke with a saber and a Bomar Monk draining for 3. So that's 6 damage, +2 from your objective, +2 from I hope she's all right. So you're pushing through about 10 points of damage off of those 2 sites. And then you just sit there and reinforce your characters.
Yeah, I mean that's like the game's going to be over in 3 turns, right?
3 or 4 turns. You get Chewbacca and Lando with Vibro-Ax and Leia with blaster rifle. You can play Were You Looking For Me, which takes 1 or 2 communication or protocol droids into hand, which gets you Artoo and Threepio, which suspends Bad Feeling Have I. Now your objective does that on the back side of it, as well as Ar-Threepio, who conveniently works well against spies. So if you're not playing against ISB, a lot of decks will start Mara Jade at the audience chamber, and Mara Jade is a spy. So you can go get Ar-Threepio, put him down at the audience chamber, and then they have to decide, do they want to move Mara Jade away, which makes it easier for you to go in and free Han, or do they want to sit there and lose a force to Ar-Threepio every turn? And then because you have some droids and you're already set up on Tatooine, you have a copy of a gift. So if you just moved a droid to the audience chamber, deploy on that droid. The droid is an undercover spy. And then wherever they have an alien, opponent's battle destiny draws are -2 and force drains are -1. So against ISB, if you have Outer Rim scouts on piloting Star Destroyers, their force strain is -1 because it's universal. It's not at systems or battleground sites or anything. It's just wherever they have an alien, their force strains are -1, which is great against ISB. It also then lets you, if you need to, get off of Tatooine somehow or consolidate on different sites, because this will act as an undercover to protect one of your sites that you're trying to, go to. Other characters that you have rounding out, Yoxgit, he deploys free to Cloud City or Jabba's Palace site. He's power +2 on Cloud City, and during your control phase, you can spend 3 force to search your lost pile and take a weapon or device into hand. So you just get it's another way to get your landing claws back, as well as your lightsabers if they go missing. Other than that, you're playing kind of standard good stuff interrupts. So you have Weapon Levitation. Because you have R2 and 3PO, I played a copy of We're Doomed. If you have less than 15 life force, play during opponent's control phase. For remainder of turn, each time you must lose force, the loss is cut in half, round up. If R2 or C3PO on table, round down. So you can get them into situations where you have a gift and their force strains are already cut down, and then you can round down usually to 0 and you don't take damage. And that affects all damage that you're taking for the rest of the turn. So their copy of I Hope She's All Right, which is Search and Destroy, or Ability, or Visage of the Emperor, or Agents of the Black Sun, any type of direct damage that's all like ping for 1 point of damage, all gets rounded down to 0 with We're Doomed. You have a backup to get Han out, which is Someone Who Loves You, which you're using it for this function. If Leia present at a site where Han is captive, release Han. So you play Leia to the audience chamber, you play Someone Who Loves You, and Han gets freed, even if they have a stack of aliens there, right? They've got Jabba and Bib and Effant Man and Buello and all that. You can just Leia, free Han, and then walk away. One copy of On the Edge, because really the point of this specific version of Prophet is it's trying to deal out as much damage as possible, as quickly as possible. You're going to be doing a lot of battling, and you're going to be doing a lot of just like, I'm draining you, I'm doing damage, you're draining me, you're doing damage, and we may not be like really interacting. So a well-timed On the Edge, right? You play the signal to go find something, or you go look for communication droids, or you use your Narshada wind chimes to go search for a non-unique alien. Whether you have them or not, you can then track a 5 around On the Edge, name 4, and then retrieve 4 force by drawing the 5.
Nice.
One copy of It Could Be Worse, one copy of Gift of the Mentor, so that you can Ben, and sometimes against certain decks like Bring Him Before Me, they'll play the Emperor to the audience chamber, and you can spend 5 force to play Ben, play Luke for free, initiate a battle, Gift of the Mentor, draw a bunch of Battle Destiny, be really a lot more powerful than they are, and you may be able to get them to sacrifice their Emperor or something. But it also just goes and gets one of your lightsabers that you want to have to put on your character. And then Fallen Portal, which is like all-star card of light side in this era of Decipher cards, because it works at your docking bays. So you have 3 docking bays. It also works at your Jabba's Palace location. And other than that, it's just go in and free Han and then set up direct damage. If there's cards that you don't necessarily need to play, if you're going to play against like Hunt Down Dueling or Bring Him Before Me or Agents of the Black Sun, this deck can struggle against Agents of the Black Sun really hard. I would recommend using the card Yoda's Gimmer Stick. To play on Yoda, you're not going to do that. It says, or use 2 forces to play on one of your character's ability greater than 3. That character is immune to attrition. And then where present, no battles or attacks can be initiated unless opponent's character ability greater than 3 present. So as long as you avoid the Emperor there's really not any characters that Agents of the Black Sun have in their deck that have ability greater than 3. They could play Dajaspur and Bane Malar, but most Agents of the Black Sun decks don't even play those. So you can just kind of blank a site. You can put like Melas with Yoda's Gimmer Stick in front of like a huge stack of guys, and they can just never battle you.
Nice. Well, Andy, I think this is a pretty effective deck. We'll have the deck list in the video description. But I think this is kind of a fun profit deck, and I'm going to go tinker with it and improve my own. So thank you so much for walking us through this.
Absolutely.
And we'll see everybody next time. And please leave comments on what you want to see next or what we should do next. We're enjoying doing these videos, but we want to make sure we're giving people the kind of content they want. So thanks, everybody, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you. Have a great day.